Like, women want someone that is able to take care of them in different ways. Like, I don't need someone to take care of me financially. I don't need someone to come to my house and, take care of my household, because I've done that already. But realistically, women want men to take care of them.
Are you saying within like acts of service then?
No, financially, acts of service in every way.
You just said not
the other day we had
I said myself.
No, yeah, I'm
myself.
asking.
But realistically, the women out here, that's what they want. They want a man to take care of them. So it's like, we can have this conversation. Yeah, I can fulfill myself.
Do you feel like it's the majority? Because like honestly, I'm 20, so most of the females that I talk to, that are my age, like they're really just on some like real feminist, like I don't give a fuck, like I'm gonna have my own, and he's just gonna be with me, and we're gonna be with each other.
20.
Yeah, I know. So I'm asking you.
And over time, you learn, like, okay, I don't need a man to support me financially, but I do need a man that's able to support me financially, if necessary.
Of course, yeah.
But it's like,
but don't you feel like that's just like your standards in choosing the person? No, like, wouldn't you choose the person who is like more inclined to favor the fact that they are financially stable rather than someone who's like just getting their shit together?
I'll be honest with you. For me personally, I don't have a problem with having a relationship with a guy that works a regular 9-to-5 job, that is, doing okay, and that has a lot of goals, because I have a lot of goals.
Yeah,
okay.
Goals
My
keep
thing
you
is,
grounded. Yeah,
I'm here and I want to get to the next step, and I want somebody to want to hustle and do the most with me,
like grow with you, but not into you, and like that's the whole idea of it all.
But realistically, what I'm trying to say is maybe not at 20 years old, because you're just learning. I have a 20-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. My daughter, she thinks that she could take over the world. And, it's certain things that you don't want. Like, I don't want my daughter to date someone that, she's very independent. She has a car. She has 2 jobs. She's going to college. Why would I want her to date someone that is just...
nothing. Who's at home with mom?
She got to pick him up every time we go on a date.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, it's certain things that I will want for my daughter. But at the same time, I'm dating too. So... do I want someone that I have to pick up? No. I want someone to,
So would you feel in the midst of this pandemic, expecting a man to pick you up, would you consider that a high standard, given the fact that there's so many people like
having
applying
a
for
car is not a
unemployment?
high standard for a man that's over 30.
But a lot of people in this pandemic, had to like sell their cars and sell like all of their personal belongings because like they've been out of work. So like in right now dating age, like if a man were honestly telling you like, hey, I need you to pick me up not because like I didn't ever have a car, but like this pandemic honestly like ruined like my life to the point where I don't have a car anymore.
So he should work on getting a job and getting a car.
But would you not like go and pick him up and like just like take that humble like answer?
No.
I'm just asking. I'm just curious.
No, we're not going to be dating. It's not that I'm materialistic because you don't have, like, I am not going to, like, you're taking me on a date, you need to have a car to pick me up. I'm older, so you should have had enough time to get it together by now. And my thing is, I've been through stuff. I didn't just land here and this been my life. You know what I'm saying? I've been at rock bottom 3-4 times, and I had to pick myself up, get it together. So you're telling me that someone that has had a certain type of lifestyle and whatever, and that's lived with their mom for most of their lives, and now they're moving out. So you haven't had that time to do that? For me, for someone my age, for a man that I will date at my age, yes, I think that they will need to have some type of stability. Just because, how can you...
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? How can you, if I'm stable right now, mortgage, car payments, this, rent, whatever, it's like, you're going to come into my life and we're going to go back to the bottom. You can't, it's like, you get to a certain lifestyle. But if you're 20 and you're starting out, because you're just starting out, right? How do you see something like this?
Starting out in what regard?
In terms of dating and life, because to be honest with you, life really starts now.
Of course. I mean, okay, so what I can say is that once I graduated high school, my independence factor within my life was very different. It was a complete like 180, you know, like I had pretty strict parents throughout high school. They really like gave me all the opportunities, you know, to go to a 4-year and things like that. So one thing led to another, you know, here I am on 8 at the table. I'm not in college, but, you know, a small business owner, 20 in my own apartment. You know, I live with my best friend, Kelly, my girl. And honestly, like, in meeting this man, like, I realized that, you know, I would consider myself having high standards in that whole dating realm because of the fact that, like, I live on my own. And now when I look at a significant other, it isn't just like dates or like, you know, little gifts. It's, you know, okay, if we're spending time together and we're like hungry, are we gonna order DoorDash or are we gonna go to the grocery store, pick up food and like cook together? And like that's something within like my relationship now that like I cherish so much. Like I was more of a baker, but like with his presence, I'm learning how to like cook more and do like more things that like can be beneficial to just myself when I'm alone and he's not with me. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel like my situation is very unique because I do live a very, very independent life.
But the question is, do you think that you, as a 20-year-old, how old is your boyfriend?
He's 27.
Okay, so do you think that you have your shit together more than he does?
No. I think we're very like 50-50. Like I've been living with him for a little bit now and like we work in tandem. Like it's the like look, no relationship is perfect. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, hey, like put us on a poster and name us couple of the year. But what I will say is I've learned communication like styles, like how our communication styles clash and how they work in tandem and how we can manipulate the communication to like work for each other so that nobody's feelings are getting hurt, even when we're just telling each other the truth. You know, he's older than me. So like, I definitely did have to like get used to this idea of like me being significantly younger.
I just think that like while you're looking for your person, like you should have fun and like really learn yourself and your sexual being, like who you are sexually. So there are other things that you can do while you're waiting to find your person. Like you can have a fuck buddy. You can, I'm not, what is it called?
A homewrecker.
But
I didn't mean to say
you can deal with, you know, somebody that's unhappy in their relationship. So, you know, it's just different things that you could do in the meantime to like, you know, keep yourself busy until you find your person, because it is hard to find someone that is going to be your person. Because I want somebody to be my person. I already dealt with someone that I didn't want to deal with. I've dealt with someone that did not want to deal with me and I wanted to deal with them. Then it switched over. He wanted me and I didn't want him. It's like you deal with so many different types of people that you like, eventually you realize what it is that you want and you're looking for that person. So when you see someone and you start having certain conversations and it's not clicking and it's not your vibe, right? You just be like, nah, this is not him, this is not him, this is not him. So then, you know, you can have, I dealt with someone that was my fuck buddy for a really long time. Just because I really wasn't interested in having a relationship.
Now I have a question for you.
Okay.
That fuck buddy that was your fuck buddy for a really long time, would you always like go back to him?
Yes.
Like, yeah, because I'm like that too. I feel like it's hard for you to like go fuck somebody else and just go back to that same one.
But it was really good sex. So, you know, but the thing is, he's very toxic. He's crazy. And, you know.
But he's just for the sex.
But, you know, it was just sex. And then we tried the relationship thing and it didn't work just because it was just sex. And, you know, it was that type of person that the sex was so good that you kept going back to it. So, and that did stop me from being in a relationship. with maybe good people.
That they'll stop you.
But it's fun while you just keep doing it until you guess, until you find your person. So Sauda, maybe you should try that.
Well, I never said I was celibate. I mean, I do have a fuck buddy.
Okay, so that's fun.
I do.
I love it. She's like,
I do. I'm very low key. I'm very secretive. I've been dealing with him for almost a year. He's cool, but he ain't for me. He's not for me. No, he's not relationship.
So what makes him good to be your fuck buddy and not your partner?
It's good. It's good. It's good.
Okay.
That's about it. I mean, we're cool with each other. We vibe out. We could laugh. We could crack jokes. But he's not the type of guy I'm looking for. He's very he's a cheater. Let's put it like that. He's a cheater. He's not looking for anything more than just that. So that's all I use him for. But I'm dating. I don't want to be humping on everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find somebody that I could just
So don't you think that if you're dating and you find someone that you're attracted to and it gets to the point where you guys want to have sex, don't you think that sexuality would maybe make you want to explore relationships with certain people? Because I think that that's something that, sometimes we think, okay, I'm talking to someone, because being sexual with someone builds a connection. Mm-hmm. So if you go on a date several times and you think you're cool, don't you think that having a sexual encounter will build some type of connection within each other, or maybe relationship?
Sometimes. I mean, the guys that I've been dating during the pandemic, they just couldn't. I didn't want them. I didn't want them.
I just have a question. I'm just literally just curious, but do you feel like in having a fuck buddy, when you are actually going on dates with other people, is sex just completely ruled out because you're already set on being sexual with that other person?
Maybe that's what it is. Then maybe that's probably what it is. But these guys that I'm meeting, it's just they're not doing it for me. They're not doing it for me. We're not clicking. The chemistry is not on point.
Yeah, never. Never settle.
But do you think that now women are being too judgmental into what they want? And
you don't want to say you was picky.
I am, but that's just me. And I have.
So then that's just every woman. I feel like a lot of women are picky.
There are women that do have very high standards, and we have heard on social media, that might not necessarily be what you need. Some people want a man that takes care of them, supports them, but if you can't take care of yourself, how are you looking for a man to take care of you? So maybe some standards need to be lowered in order for us to be able to find the right person.
Yeah, so there's this idea of dating, but without the intention of having this man be your form of security, whether it's in the financial or the domestic living or whatever. So these women who have high standards, so honestly, that's just this attraction to abundance, whether it's money or gifts and stuff like that. So honestly, how I feel I kind of fulfill myself is within loving myself in the ways that I know that I want to be loved, so that even if my significant other is falling short on that spectrum, I am still carrying myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm still loving myself, so I am never feeling forgotten about. You know what I'm saying? There's this idea of women needing a man to support and just be their rock, but ultimately you are your anchor, and as long as you can provide the most of whatever the fuck you want, he is just an additive. He's just a beautiful, wonderful additive. I'm not trying to downplay him at all, but you're beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Abundance is yours regardless.
I actually joined a dating site this year, and I get many matches, but I said,
so you're even though the computer's telling you this is 100% match.
Yeah, no. I actually went on a date with a guy. We went out. It was great conversation, great chemistry. But it just, I'm very strong when it comes to, I'm very confident in my sexuality. So when, went out on a date and I'm just like, I don't want to do certain things. And I felt pushed kind of. And it just didn't go the way that I wanted to.
Yeah.
So, but, I don't know if dating online is for me. Just because, if I meet someone face to face, it could possibly be, where I could feel like, about something, and that person could probably reassure me that that's not the case. But online is not the case because all I have to do is just block the person. Yeah. And it's like,
there's nothing beating like that in-person like energy. So like I'm super into crystals, super into like energy between people and like conversational and like just like emotional in that aspect of like relationships. So like I met this person, in the pandemic in person, like just casually like, hey, you trying to skate? Like, and at first it was just very like, okay, like, should I talk to him? Should I not talk to him? I'm wearing a mask. Okay, I feel cool, So I definitely do feel that aspect of like when you go see this person and they're being very forward and very comfortable with you sometimes, where it's kind of just like, wait, this is our first time meeting and we're in a pandemic. Like, we don't know each other, so, like, why are you even trying to do anything?
So you say you met him in person. Where did you meet him?
So I actually moved to Baltimore during the stay-at-home order. I was a complete rebel to society. It was honestly the best decision I could ever make, though, for myself as a creative and for just, like, my evolution as a young woman, honestly. So I was actually with my younger cousin. We were shopping all day, and I took the water taxi. We were in the Baltimore Harbor. They have like a little bit of a walkway and stuff, so usually there's a lot of skaters in that environment, a lot of like artsy people. So I was walking with my little baby cousin, and he was like under this like gazebo style thing, and he had a skateboard, and he was just like, yo, you trying to skate? But I had like some really clean sneakers on. And mind you, like I was walking a certain way all day because I was like, yo, I'm not creasing these like at all. So I honestly told him, yo, I don't skate, but like I'm not skating in these. And he was just like, oh, did you phase? I was kind of like just hyping up like my fly, and like that's something I really like in a love language. Like I love that whole like style thing.
So you live in Jersey?
No, I live in Brooklyn.
So you live in New York?
I've lived in 3 states in 2020 in this pandemic.
He lives in Baltimore?
He lives in Brooklyn with me.
Okay.
She's like, with me. Oh my God. So you guys moved in together?
Yeah, we definitely did do that.
So that makes 2 of us that got into relationships during the pandemic, because I got my man during the pandemic. So I said that makes 2 of us that got our man during the pandemic, during COVID-19, because my relationship kindled during that time period. I honestly feel like if it wasn't for COVID-19, even though it's a horrible thing, we wouldn't have been as close.
Likewise.
Because we had the time to give each other. Everything was shut down, and, we were both nervous about what was going to happen. And, I feel like at that time, that's why, yes, some people should try the online dating if you're afraid of in person, because sometimes you feel lonely, and sometimes you feel like you need somebody to hang out with, somebody to talk to, somebody to bond with, especially during a pandemic when everything is shut down.
Well, personally, I feel more in danger, like, on the online scene, because of that sense of like, this person is not in front of me. I can't like fully identify if this picture is even this person.
Yeah, a lot of people
and like really like make out like their face and stuff. Like, I don't know, I'm paranoid. My mom really like instilled like this like street smart safety in me, where like, look over your shoulder, like I take the subway here, like, it's just like sense of like security and just like making sure you're safe. So like, please be safe. Please. Like, yeah. I'm urging you to, because like, regardless of COVID-19, there's still crazy ass motherfuckers. And like, look, it's
crazy.
Just not cool.
She's like, okay, yeah. She's like,
I know you're strapped with it. You got it. But you can't fix stupid. You really can't. And like, as women, we're very beautiful and very like admirable. And sometimes like, it's very intoxicating to some. And we have to be careful.
Online dating is definitely, it has its pros and its cons, but I feel like that's the same thing as in-person dating. Yes, you can be catfished, for example. You can come across somebody that is saying they're one person and they're not. I actually experienced some form of catfishing, like somebody was pretending to be me on Tinder, and someone DM'd me and was like, oh, I found you. I saw you on Tinder. And I was like, what? I've never had a Tinder ever in my life. And they had every single picture of from my IG, they put it on Tinder and were pretending to be me. Just a different name, but like my face, it was me. So it is out there, it does exist, and unfortunately it does happen to people, but it doesn't mean that you should shy away from it if you are looking for love, or if you are looking for a partner, or just looking for somebody to talk to and you aren't open to the in-person, dating. Have you been seeing the men out there? Is it horrible? What's your take on that?
I don't know if it's horrible. I would say that maybe, like, I'm just not with it right now. So,
So you're not looking at all?
I am. I still look, but I'm very picky. Okay, so, it's a little bit harder for me too, because, I'll get a DM and they'll say hello and say in a certain way, and I'll be like, nah. And I just,
Yeah, that makes sense. And Sauda, since you said you're single?
Same thing. I've been on a few dates during the pandemic, and they got blocked right after. They got blocked right after.
But yeah, exactly why? Because I know there's probably men out there listening, and they're like, okay, well, I was probably that guy that took her on a date. What happened? Like, why are these men not good enough for you ladies? Like, what is it that you're looking for specifically that these men are just not hitting?
Well, I'm trying to be serious. I'm trying to be in a serious relationship. And like, they'll just tell me straight up, they want to hit, they want to have sex with me. And I'm not for that. I value myself more. I don't want to just give myself to anybody. I want to be in a serious relationship.
I mean, that makes sense. But a lot of times you got to sit back and think. You're in the dating phase, right? Dating phase. That's really not serious. So is it wrong for someone to come into the atmosphere like telling you like, hey, they're not looking for anything serious? You can't blame somebody for saying that.
Well, I like for somebody to be blunt with me.
You want it to grow into something serious. I feel like when I was in the dating world, that's what I'm saying. I definitely dated multiple guys. Doesn't mean I was fucking all of them. I dated multiple men because I'm trying to see who I wanted to take serious. Eventually I found him, and that's why I'm taking now. In a sense, you can kind of see it if you sit back and analyze it and dissect it, then maybe, yes, I was taking the power and dating multiple people, so I have the choice of who is better for me. Because again, you can't expect every man off one conversation, like, oh, he's the one or he's not the one. You get me? You still have to get to know that person, especially if it's someone brand new. Now, it's different if someone from your past is trying to talk to you, and you know them for years, and you know this person, so that's a completely different story. But someone brand new that's just jumping into your DMs, I honestly feel like it's wrong for you to say, oh, well, this person's not for me, because you don't know them.
No, that's not necessarily what I'm doing.
That's why it's the dating phase. Like, you gotta go on multiple dates. You gotta feel this person out. You gotta see how they talk, what they do for a living, how they eat, like all this, and see if you have a chemistry.
But there's certain things that is being said that I'm just like, nah.
Off the rip. So off the rip, if they're just like, let me see that pussy. Right, like things like that. That'll make me be like, no,
I don't even want nothing to do with those.
But if it's someone that's attractive and that you could possibly be attracted to, what's the problem with that? Like, guys do that all the time. They go, they hit. I could have sex with whoever I want. And if that's something that, listen, I find you attractive. Okay, you want to hit? Okay, let's just do it. Let's have fun. And, I don't necessarily want to be in a relationship with you either.
Right.
And when I find someone else that I want to be with later, I will let you go and I'll pick up the next one. So I don't understand. I think that we're so concerned about social norms that we don't do certain things because we're afraid of what people are going to say.
No, I don't give a damn what people think about me.
I agree with that. I think it's psychologically, as much as you say you don't care, I think it's like psychologically like imprinted in us. Like, I feel like we all naturally, to some extent, care about that.
I just,
about how you look, about how
I feel like that's doubling back into this like that saying of like, you know, you are your own worst critic, you know, because like I do feel that like I could give a fuck about what everybody else has to say about me or like whatever about any type of situation, but like as long as I know how I feel based on whatever is going on, like there's a certain sense of like security in that. I definitely do feel that, especially in the dating world. Like this is like fresh relationship, you know, I'm taken, but definitely not anything super long term, like just yet, you know, still new. And it's definitely super new because I met this person during the pandemic. And, you know, there was first that factor of like, wait, like this is healthy, right? Like immune system wise, not just emotionally or intellectually, like I'm going to be okay seeing this person and like socially distant with this person, you know, and like getting to know this person, actually having to talk to them because there's not this like super casualness with just like touching someone now. You know, in the middle of this pandemic, people are staying 6 feet away from each other. So like I really did have to get to know this person, and it's been an amazing like journey. I feel like this is a very new style relationship than I've ever been in. I'm usually very like casual. I'm not really, it's hard to keep me committed. I'm just very like to myself and just very like driven to like my success and like my goals. So much so that at times I get distracted in being in a relationship. But with this person, I feel like COVID-19 forced us to have intellectual conversations that are so deep in such like a short amount of time that like the union feels so much stronger than other relationships that I've been in before COVID, where it was just like that ability to touch each other, that like we can and don't have to worry about catching like a deadly virus, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, that awareness of this pandemic kind of makes the dating age kind of like a little bit hard. I can definitely say that.
I understand that, but I definitely feel like people still found a way to date through COVID.
Of course.
You know, online is a big thing. People date online, and people, even though you can't physically be there, there's a lot that you can do virtually. So realistically, that does not stop anybody.